That was this weekend, and I said the easy stuff. The easy stuff is sometimes the hardest. Here I am as a private citizen at Liberty University talking about individuals getting connected to God. Okay. Boy, I'd think that the people on the left would really have a problem on that, but you can't right now, because Barack Obama has his new faith-based initiative where he is literally merging faith with the EPA. Your church with the EPA. I'm going to tell you all about it tomorrow. It is horrifying. It is back to what I warned you about how many months ago. Social justice. Look out. Look out, social justice. It's being used in the same way it was being used like the Marxists in South America. And it is a powerful, powerful weapon. Powerful weapon. Remember, 1915-ish, the progressives knew they had to take apart our faith and our churches, our founders, and our Constitution. They couldn't get things done at the turn of last century because these were too strong. We don't talk about the Constitution anymore. The founders we don't talk about. And faith in churches, they're dead inside. And too many of our pastors and our priests and our rabbis are afraid. Stand up. Stand up. Stand for something. All right, so do you remember when Bush had his faith-based initiative and everybody was screaming? Everybody on the left screaming about that. Separation of church and state. Let me show you something. This is an original copy of Thomas Jefferson's Notes on Virginia. Okay? This is the only book, afraid to even open it. This is the only book of where separation of church and state is mentioned. But the ACLU, oh no. The ACLU will talk about separation. Every single one of these people that are right now running this country are the ones that are always trying to take "In God We Trust" off. They're trying to take everything out of our churches and rot them from the inside. Now suddenly a faith-based initiative? You got to be very careful, because there are wolves in sheep's clothing. I read a book, and I can't recommend this book high enough. This book every single American should have. George Washington's Sacred Fire. I don't even know how many years this has been out. I think it came out in 2006. Somebody just sent it to me, and I started reading it, and this is incredible. This sets the record straight. Let me show you this. This much of the book, right here, this is all footnote. You're not tearing this one apart. This will tell you the truth of who our founder was, George Washington. I just read this story last night. George Washington, when he was in the King's Army, he was a soldier, about 20 years before the Declaration of Independence, they didn't have a chaplain. The king was supposed to pay for a chaplain. Well, he wrote the governor of Virginia and said, this is dishonorable. We have to have a chaplain. He said, if you're not going to pay for one, I've talked to all the men and we've decided we'll pay for a chaplain ourselves. Does that sound like somebody who doesn't believe in God? This is a guy who fought for chaplains and never got it. When he became the general of the Continental Army and he fought for America, that's the first thing he did. He insisted the chaplains were there. Now let me show you this. The merit badge. The merit badge. Look at that. This is incredible. You know what this is? This is the original Purple Heart. But when it was originally put out by George Washington, it wasn't for getting wounded. It was about honor and merit. You didn't get this from George Washington. The reason why he started giving the Purple Heart out was because Congress cut the salaries, said now you can't give them. Every time somebody really did something of honor and stood out and was honorable and did something of real merit, he bumped them up. He bumped them up because he said there must be honor. We must be a Christian army, his words, not mine, a Christian army. An army full of men that understood God's law and honored it. Otherwise, we will not win. So now what does this have to do with you? We need some of these purple merit badges. Not for our kids winning trophies that they just got because they played a stupid baseball game and they lost at, but when somebody does something of real merit and honor. We have to put things back in their rightful place. It's why I'm having Founders Fridays. It's why we're working on a special on the Constitution. It's why I'm talking about faith. This is the disease. They knew they had to take it apart. I'm asking you to come to Washington, D.C. on August 28th, where I'm going to ask you to stand with your children and make a solemn vow to restore these things. The only way we're going to restore our country in the long run is to know our history, know our God, know our Constitution, know and live these things. We're not going to save our country through politics. Not going to. It's going to happen through us. It's going to happen through us living decent lives, us being good people. It's our churches, it's our morals, it's our actions, it's our deeds. This is how I left off the keynote speech Saturday at the NRA. It's something I'm going to ask you to do. I ask you to join me at the Lincoln Memorial on August 28th. At the feet of Abraham Lincoln, in between George Washington and Abraham Lincoln. Stand for a program with me that is going to demand that Americans restore honor. Restore honor inside our own selves. Don't ever give in. Not now, not tomorrow, not the next day, not ever. Not one more bill, not one more dollar, not one more right will they take from us. Not today, not ever. We must stand together and again mutually pledge to each other our lives, our fortunes, and our sacred honor. It's coming to a place now here in America where you can't believe your eyes or your ears. Nothing is as it seems, and that includes the controversy over Miranda rights. I'm still bothered by what Attorney General Eric Holder and the administration are saying because, I mean, basically, I'm a little picky. I'm picky enough to believe that if you're an American citizen, you have certain rights, period. Bill O'Reilly, who I love, we got into a heated discussion over this on Friday night. Here's what happened.
Let's pass a law that says if the authorities feel there's a terror act underway, the Miranda rights can be suspended.
No more power.
Oh, I'm sorry. I disagree with you 1,000% on that. You got to deal with reality. You got to deal with reality.
You've got a government right now.
Oh, stop. This is
You've
theory.
got a government right now who is saying that the Tea Party goers are terrorists and everybody else. You've already had a report on that.
Okay. Here's the deal. Bill just doesn't see any potential for abuse. I'm just not willing to give him any more power. It's our lives, our fortunes, and our sacred honor. It's our country at stake. No more power. No more. It's all about Obama cracking down on Islamic radicals. Really? Now let's just play this out in your head. When confronted with one of the worst acts of terror on our soil since 9/11, 13 dead, 31 soldiers wounded, Fort Hood, Barack Obama spent the first 2 minutes in his press conference talking about Native American conferences and sending shout-outs to people. He continually used the word shooter or gunman rather than terrorist. And in his address at the memorial service, the president didn't use the word Muslim or Islam once. It should be radicalized Islam or radical Muslim because of the mountain of evidence from the terrorist himself. Hassan called himself a soldier of Allah. What do you think? He told colleagues that non-Muslims should be beheaded and have boiling oil poured down their throats. What do you think? Radical? Islamicist? What do you think? He also shouted Allah Akbar while killing the infidels. So why the reluctance? They have bent over backwards to say that we're not involved in a war in terror. No. It's an overseas contingency operation. The administration has vowed to close down Gitmo because of the abuse of these poor souls. Last week, Attorney General Eric Holder couldn't even bring himself to admit that there may be something called radical Islam, let alone any sort of crackdown on it. Watch this.